Good afternoon and welcome to Government House here in Canberra on another beautiful day. My name is Gerard Martin and I am the Secretary to the Council for the Order of Australia and the Secretary to the Australian Bravery Decorations Council. I wish to acknowledge the Ngunnawal people as the traditional custodians of the land we are meeting on today and recognise any other people or families with connection to the lands of the ACT and the region. I acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this city and this region. And I would like to acknowledge and welcome any other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. I would also like to acknowledge and welcome our official guests, Air Marshal Robert Chipman, Vice Chief of the Defence Force, Rear Admiral David Mann, representing the Chief of Navy, Major General Richard Vagg, representing the Chief of Army, Air Commodore Michael Durant, representing the Chief of Air Force, Ms Jo Talbot, First Assistant Commissioner from the Australian Public Service Commission, and the Honourable Vicky O'Halloran, President of the Order of Australia Association. The Australian Honours System is an important mechanism to recognise ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Today is a special day, not only for the recipients, but also for their families, their friends and their communities. It's a day when we celebrate a diverse range of impressive achievements and service. We here at Government House are privileged to play a small part in the recognition and celebration of that achievement. I hope we can help make today an occasion that you will all recall with pride for years to come. Shortly, I'll invite you to stand if you're able as the Governor-General enters the room. Please remain standing for the Australian National Anthem. After I read their names and citations, the recipients will enter the room from the doorway on my right, and once reading a biography of their service and they have been invested, they will leave by the centre aisle to take their seats. At this point, you may like to show each of them your appreciation with a short applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please now stand for the arrival of Her Excellency the Governor-General and the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every state advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please be seated.
Thank you, Gerard, and good afternoon, everybody. It seems so fitting that we are here this afternoon in Canberra on this glorious autumnal afternoon. It will be a splendid backdrop to the proceedings we're about to commence. As Gerard has done, I'd also like to acknowledge that we meet today on the lands of the Ngunnawal people and add my respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that acknowledgement to any First Nations people who are joining us here today. I also join Gerard in acknowledging our very distinguished guests, and I want to thank the RMC Band for their national anthem and the music that we'll enjoy with the afternoon tea. It always makes for a wonderful occasion to hear that wonderful band. And you heard Sergeant Melody Nielsen singing the Australian anthem along with us, which I think helps us all get in tune. I am a terrible singer, but I love it when we're led by someone as talented as Melody with the band. So it's wonderful to have them here with us today. I also wanted just to say thanks to the teams of Government House people you will have been working with that brings you to Government House today. We are so fortunate here at Government House to have the most extraordinary team that makes sure that everything that has led you to here, including arriving and now sitting here, has been so well handled by those that care so much about you, and that is the team here at Government House. So welcome to Government House. It is a place of peace and welcome where absolutely everybody belongs. And as your first Canberra-born Governor-General It's a very special privilege for me, particularly in this 50th anniversary year for our honours system, to bestow these awards on so many Canberrans and people from across the region who give so much to this important capital city and to the region and the country. Now, along with all the team here at Government House, investitures always inspire me. We get glimpses of the service, integrity, creativity, the care and achievement that flourish across our nation, and we cannot help but be moved by your contributions and your selflessness. Many of you would know that I've just returned with my team from an official visit to Turkey, Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, with an attendance, unexpectedly as it turned out, at the sacred, monumental but very simple funeral of Pope Francis. Of course, the centrepiece of our trip was to be at Gallipoli for Anzac Day. And on the dawn service, on the morning of the commemoration, we stood there to commemorate the 110th anniversary of the first landings there. Standing in the places where Australians fell so long ago and meeting those Australians today, the pilgrims, the diplomats, defence personnel, who today represent our modern diverse nation, brought home so clearly to me that Australians, past and present, near and far, carry with them a deep commitment to care and share the qualities of courage, resolution and respect, imagination and deep kindness. It also brought to mind for me another commemoration, one from Christmas Day, just last year at the end of 2024. I was there with the Prime Minister and joined by the Chief of the Defence Force in Darwin for the 50th anniversary of Cyclone Tracy. Now, the Chief of Defence was there in part to recognise the extraordinary work of Defence personnel in those evacuations, but he was also a young man, just a boy in Darwin when Cyclone Tracy hit, and he was evacuated with his siblings at the time, and it was important that he was back there to commemorate a time that he was deeply part of. But together, we remembered the remarkable courage and recovery, the care that Darwin's people showed for each other and for their city, and the care that the rest of the country showed for anyone who was leaving Darwin, although we only knew about them days after that event because we had no technology to tell us what had been happening in Darwin. It was all happening there, but we just didn't know. But Australians responded with care once they did. It's not surprising that the efforts of those who did show that care were reflected in the very first honours list for Australia in 1975. They were women like Corporal Rose Finn and RAF nurse Brenda Walton. They were both made members of the Order that year because of their tireless care in the hours and days that followed the disaster. And then there was Major General Alan Stretton. He was the head of the then brand new National Disasters Organisation. His excellence in overseeing the evacuation of Darwin led to him being not only made an officer of the Order, but he was also 1975's Australian of the Year. In the same year, the 1975 honours list, we find people such as Patrick White, Manning Clark, Joan Sutherland, and Nugget Coombs, all who were made companions of the Order that year. So you can see from its very beginning, the Order of Australia has recognised the very best and bravest of us. And ever since, our entire honours system has been a record of how Australians respond to the perils, but also the promise of life in our country. And today, just 50 years later, we invest our 2025 honorees. Today, we celebrate the fact that you belong in the company of Australians whose lives have had a lasting impact on our country and across the world. Now, when I became your Governor-General, I undertook during my term to focus unstintingly on the uplifting power of care, kindness and respect. Care for each other, care for those that do the caring of others, care for our extraordinary continent and its environmental beauty and the riches it's given us, care for civics and institutions like our honours system, and care for the way in which we discuss and debate the really difficult topics of our time without judgment, anger or violence, but with respect. Care also means, I think, that we reflect from time to time on the braided strength that we find in the unique history of our nation. 65,000 years of continuous Indigenous culture and history attached to this great continent, histories and stories and culture and language shared so generously with everyone who has come since. Then of the stability, equality and prosperity assured by the strength of our democracy and our institutions of government, even up to the office of the Governor-General. And of course, right now, our modern chapter of belonging, progress and success, underpinned by the most remarkable and successful multiculturalism. Over half a century of immigration and refugee arrivals, over 7.5 million migrants and almost 1 million refugees who've joined us here to be Australians over that time. I also made a commitment when I was sworn in to amplify the stories of those who embed care and kindness in the way they encounter the world around them. And that's what we here at Government House this week see in the investitures and what I see and feel in this room right now. And we'll see it across all of the celebrations that are taking place in all of the government houses across the country, where the other governors and the administrator of the territory will also be investing Australian honours this week. It's a real privilege for all of us to learn about your stories and your commitments, your contributions, and I'll be taking them with me wherever I go, whether that's across the country or on future official visits overseas. I want to thank you on behalf of all Australians for everything you've done and what you continue to do every day. As we celebrate half a century of Australian honours and awards, today it's our honorees who embody the legacy of that contribution that we cherish. I also want to thank all of you here in the room and those watching on the live stream, the families, the friends and the colleagues who have nurtured and supported our honorees and who join you in celebrating all that you have given to this country. They are to be thanked as well. I want to congratulate you all on these well-deserved awards. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a less formal environment at our afternoon tea once we have invested your insignia. I hope you enjoy the ceremony and thank you all for coming to celebrate these great Australians.
Your Excellency, to be appointed a member of the Order of Australia in the General Division, Ms. Margie Burn, for significant service to library and information science and to the community. Ms. Burn is Australia's leading expert in Australian documentary heritage across rare books, manuscripts, pictures, maps and oral history. Through a long career at, amongst others, the National Library of Australia, State Library of New South Wales, State Library of South Australia and Australian Dictionary of Biography, Ms. Burn has made a contribution matched by very few. Generous with her time and expertise, Ms. Burn is highly regarded, described as a legend of the library and cultural professional who has always found time to contribute to the enrichment of her community. Ms. Margie Burn, appointed a member of the Order. To be appointed a member of the Order of Australia in the Military Division, Commodore Richard Kaitton, for exceptional service in senior defence management and international relationship roles. Commodore Kaitton's leadership, strategic acumen and diligence as Deputy Director, Navy International Engagement has optimised business unit output and effectiveness, improved Australia's operational access to partner nations and grown regional maritime domain awareness. As Defence Attaché Singapore, his interpersonal and diplomatic skills expanded Australia's options in its defence relationships with Singapore, Brunei and the Five Power Defence Arrangements. Through innovation and building strong relationships at all levels, Commodore Kaitton has delivered strategic outcomes for Australia. Commodore Richard Kaitton, appointed a member of the Order. To be appointed a member of the Order of Australia in the Military Division, Group Captain Margie Yavanovich, for exceptional service to the Royal Australian Air Force in the provision of command and leadership within the Orion AP-3EW Marine Patrol capability. Group Captain Yavanovich has deftly delivered outcomes at the operational and tactical level for the regional strategic benefit of Australia. Her leadership in the lead-up to the AP-3EW Orion withdrawal from service ensured safe and effective operations while continuing to meet heightened operational demands. She is an exceptional, consummate and professional pilot and commander who has made significant contributions to the Australian Defence Force. Group Captain Margie Yavanovich, appointed a member of the Order. To be awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia in the General Division, Ms. Anamaria Arabia, for service to science, particularly through organisational leadership roles. Ms. Arabia is CEO and fundraising coordinator at the Australian Academy of Science and is a passionate advocate for science and research. She was formerly CEO of Science and Technology Australia and has served as a senior policy advisor to government ministers and well-known institutions. Ms. Arabia is a true leader in ensuring public policy, particularly in complex areas, is based on scientific fact and evidence. Her advocacy for the importance of investing in research has had a significant impact on government policy and, as a result, Australian society. Ms. Anamaria Arabia, awarded the Medal of the Order. To be awarded the Medal of the Order of Australia in the General Division, Mr. Mike Dinh, for service to engineering, particularly deep space tracking and exploration. Mr. Dinh has displayed a remarkable commitment to advancing the field of space tracking in support of space exploration. He was Director of the Magellan, Voyager, Neptune and Galileo missions and Deputy Director of Support and Operations Projects at the Canberra Deep Space Communication Complex and Deputy Station Director of the Apollo 4 through to 13 missions at the Honeysuckle Creek Manned Spaceflight Tracking Station. He is the last surviving Tracking Station Director or Deputy Director of an Australian station to be involved in the Apollo moon landings. Mr. Dinh has always been a fervent supporter of space education and outreach to inspire the next generation of scientists and engineers. Mr. Mike Dinh, awarded the Medal of the Order. To be awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, the late Brigadier Damian Ro, to be accepted by his son, Mr. Bede Roche, For distinguished command and leadership in warlike operations as the commanding officer of the Australian Medical Support Force, 2nd Australian Contingent to the United Nations Peacekeeping Mission in Rwanda. Brigadier Roche's leadership and commitment as part of the peacekeeping mission in Rwanda was extraordinary. Then Lieutenant Commander, his calm and professional manner during the Kibeo massacre, while directing the efforts of Australian troops, resulted in the effective treatment and timely evacuation of hundreds of people, saving countless lives. The outcomes achieved through his distinguished command are in the finest traditions of the Australian Army. The late Brigadier Damian Ro awarded the Distinguished Service Cross and accepted by Mr. Bede Roche. To be awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, Colonel Peter Worf. For distinguished command and leadership in warlike operations as the Commander Australian Contingent to the United Nations Peacekeeping Mission in Rwanda. Colonel Worf's leadership as the Commander Australian Contingent of the United Nations Peacekeeping Mission in Rwanda was remarkable. His leadership qualities ensured a high level of medical service was achieved despite at times hostile conditions. He was instrumental in the planning, formation and implementation of a new United Nations mandate for Rwanda and liaising with the Rwandan government to ensure its success. Colonel Peter Worf awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. To be awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross, Brigadier Damian Hill, for outstanding achievement as the Director General, Joint Collective Training, Headquarters Joint Operations Command. Brigadier Hill achieved outstanding results in the design and conduct of joint, combined and multi-agency training programs. Australia's reputation with contributing nations has been significantly enhanced through the development of a modern program which establishes a sophisticated collective training cycle, directly contributing to preparing and testing joint contingency forces. This new system and the work Brigadier Hill put into it will have a lasting impact on the Australian Defence Force's operational capability. Brigadier Damian Hill awarded the Conspicuous Service Cross. To be awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal, Warrant Officer Class 2, Andrei Masarenko, for meritorious achievement as the Senior Direct Fire Support Weapons Tactician at the School of Infantry and as a Company Sergeant Major and Operations Warrant Officer at the 2nd Battalion, the Royal Australian Regiment. Warrant Officer Masarenko displayed superior commitment to improving operations across multiple appointments. His personal contribution to the enhancement of capability through training, design and management underpinned the successful integration of a new direct fire support weapon capability into Australian infantry. Warrant Officer Masarenko has ensured the operational readiness and employability of Australian Defence Contingency Force elements. Warrant Officer Class 2 Andrei Masarenko awarded the Conspicuous Service Medal. To be awarded the Public Service Medal, Ms. Elizabeth Hall, for outstanding public service leading the ACT government's budget coordination function during COVID-19. Ms. Hall was central in delivering emergency legislative changes and processes to ensure funding was available for ACT entities to support the ACT community through the pandemic. During this unprecedented time in budget management, Ms. Hall was also instrumental in developing the ACT government's wellbeing framework and supporting the ACT to embed the assessment of wellbeing impacts for budget proposals into all budget decision-making. We thank her today for her commitment and contribution to the local community. Ms. Elizabeth Hall, awarded the Public Service Medal. To be awarded the Public Service Medal, Ms. Cassandra Ireland, for outstanding public service in the delivery of significant legislative reform and legal services within the Australian Government. Ms. Ireland has identified and implemented several measures to help manage and mitigate risk for the Government, including through the promotion of departmental collaboration. She led the former Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment's legal response to the Royal Commission into national disaster arrangements during the COVID-19 pandemic. She also delivered a legislation program and support for key reforms to Australia's Biosecurity Act. Ms. Ireland has demonstrated leadership and devotion to continuity of service to ministers, the Department and the Australian public. Ms. Cassandra Ireland, awarded the Public Service Medal. To be awarded the Public Service Medal, Mr. Luke Mansfield, for outstanding public service through advocacy to disability reform. Mr. Luke Mansfield has been instrumental in achieving better outcomes for Australians living with a disability. His achievements include the coordination of the government's responses to the Royal Commission into violence, abuse, neglect and exploitation of people with a disability and the ongoing delivery of Australia's disability strategy. He represents Australia in the Global Leadership Exchange on Disability and is a board member on the National Disability Research Partnership. Mr. Mansfield is highly respected by his peers and his work helps change community attitudes and systems to be more accepting and inclusive of people with disability. Mr. Luke Mansfield, awarded the Public Service Medal. To be awarded the Public Service Medal, Mr. Christopher Roberts, for outstanding public service in establishing an emissions-based registration system for light vehicles in the ACT. Mr. Roberts was instrumental in articulating and supporting the ACT government's vision of incentivising low-emission vehicles to help achieve climate objectives. This was achieved by working through challenges to deliver an innovative policy that was the first of its kind. With 25 years of experience in providing evidence-based strategic advice, Mr. Roberts has demonstrated outstanding public service and steadfastly displayed exceptional leadership in delivering an innovative policy reform. Mr. Christopher Roberts, awarded the Public Service Medal. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentations this afternoon. We might give all our recipients one last round of applause. I'll shortly invite the recipients to join Her Excellency for a formal photo at the state entrance. And then in a moment, everyone else is welcome to move to the lakeside lawn for refreshments. Please note that our photographer will be capturing a photograph with each of the recipients, their guests and the Governor-General during the ceremony today. This is your opportunity to take a selfie with the Governor-General, so have your cameras ready. Can I please ask that you now stand for the departure of Her Excellency and the recipients? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please feel free to move around the ground floor and out to the lawn.